Hey guys, Cody from InfamousMusician.com here, and today I'm taking a look at the Behringer UMC1820 audio interface. This is a $300 USB rack mountable interface with 8 XLR quarter-inch inputs, and it's really one of the lowest priced audio interface available right now that has this many inputs and outputs. I've been using the interface for about a month now, and I figured I'd make this video to cover some of the features of the unit and even give some audio samples recorded through this interface in comparison to the interface that I use every day in my home studio, which is an older PreSonus Fire Studio, but it also has 8 XLR inputs. So with that said, let's get right into it. First, let's cover some of the features you get with the UMC1820. On the front, there are 2 XLR quarter-inch inputs, with the other 6 being on the back of the unit. However, every input on the 1820 can be used as an instrument level input that can be engaged by pushing the line instrument button in. This is a really nice feature to have since a lot of interfaces only have 2 of these type of inputs. Not that you'll likely use all of these inputs as instrument level inputs all at one time. For example, if you plugged in 8 guitars directly into the unit, but you do have that flexibility. It also gives you added routing flexibility, so you don't need to unplug things to get to that instrument input. Each input also has a negative 15 dB pad that can be engaged by pushing the pad button in for that input. Also on the front are buttons to engage phantom power, the main volume knob, and the power button. You'll also see that there are 2 headphone outputs. Each headphone output can be toggled between the 1 and 2 stereo outs and the 3 and 4 stereo outs. This again is a really nice feature. I use this at practice all the time to run a click track for my drummer. The main mix goes through the outputs 1 and 2, but a click track can go through outputs 3 and 4 so that the drummer has a click track, but it's not playing over the main mix. And I do all that routing in PreSonus Studio One, which is the DAW that I use. Now onto the back of the 1820. There's the 6 additional XLR quarter-inch inputs, like I mentioned earlier. There's also 5 stereo pairs of outputs, SPDIF, ADAT, MIDI in and out. If you're unfamiliar, ADAT can be used to connect another preamp unit, so you can add more inputs to your interface. So if you need to record more than 8 inputs at one time, that's how you would do it. Lastly, like I said, the interface is rack mountable, but if you don't want to put it in a rack, the rack ears actually do come off. This is nice because it makes it a bit shorter and it's easier to fit in, say, a backpack for easy travel. Overall, I really like this interface. I really don't think you'll find a better bang for your buck when you're looking for a similar audio interface that's rack mountable with 8 inputs, 5 stereo outs, multiple headphone outputs, and MIDI in and out. Personally, I use it as a mobile interface for live monitoring at band practice. To cover my setup, in case any of you want to do the same, I have the Behringer UMC1820 racked in a 4-unit rack case, along with a Furman power conditioner and an Audio-Technica wireless in-ear system. The extra spaces in the rack will eventually be filled with in-ear systems for the rest of the guys in the band, but for now it's empty. But on the back, I run outputs 5 and 6 into the input on the in-ear system. Then in Studio One, again the DAW that I use, I create a monitor mix for myself that's separate from the other guys in the band. So that way I can turn up my guitar as loud as I like without it affecting the mix for everyone else in the band. And I'll be able to do the same when everyone else gets their own in-ear system by using the other available outputs on the back of the 1820. But for now, I run a 1/4-inch cable out of the headphone output on the front of the interface into a portable headphone amp for the rest of the guys. The drummer will probably remain on this even if everyone else does go to in-ears, since he doesn't need to move around, obviously. So for me, this interface works out perfectly. It has a bunch of inputs, outputs, and like I said, I think all of the features that you get at this price range, it honestly makes this interface one of the best 8-input interfaces out there right now. I think one thing that holds people back is just the brand name. Some people seem to give Behringer a bad name and a hard time. Even just recently when the bass player in my band asked for a suggestion on an interface, and I suggested one by Behringer. He was kind of like, I've had bad experiences with Behringer. And while some of that is deserved with some of their older, cheaper products that they've put out, I think this new line of UMC interfaces are a solid choice if you're looking for an interface. I've had the 1820, and I also have the UMC 404 HD, which is another great unit if you only need 4 inputs, by the way. But both of them are solid, they work great, and I haven't had problems with either of them. Lastly, to touch on the audio quality of the 1820 is great. It sounds clean, it sounds crisp, and there's no audible difference between this and another similarly priced interface. So if you're not sacrificing audio quality even at the lower price point with this unit. To prove it, take a listen to my guitar recorded directly through the 1820, and then I recorded another track through my PreSonus Fire Studio. This is the same guitar, just recorded directly. And again, it does have active pickup, so it is a bit grittier even when recorded clean. But anyways, take a listen and hear for yourself. I don't know about you, but I can't hear any difference between the two clips, and if there is, it's extremely subtle. So the audio quality on this thing is perfectly fine, and I think it'll work out well for you even in the studio or at band practice like I've been using. Well, that's all I have for you in this review on the Behringer UMC1820. Be sure to let me know what you thought in the comments below, and if you want to learn more, I even wrote up a full written review over on infamousmusician.com, which I'll put a link to below in the video description. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.